Hi, Dee Dee.
How are you?
Good. How are you? I hope I didn't stress you out. I was just coming from the last session.
Oh no, I'm just fiddling around. I think I, I took that webinar forever ago,
Yeah.
but I think that the way I've got let's practice the screen share for a minute and see what
Okay.
happens.
So it looks like before session's been ready to start. So you started the broadcast?
I did.
Okay, cool.
So if I do this, does that just show the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I
Yes.
want.
Just a
Okay.
second ago, I saw a little bit of white, but then now it went right back. So it's
Yeah,
just
because I
like,
had this up here so I could see the chat.
cool.
So
And then I'll be monitoring the chat. So anytime, I don't know if you want to stop or ask, however you want to flow, I'm here for you.
okay, now how do I stop screen sharing for now?
So you just stop screen sharing.
It's not giving
I
me.
just see our two videos.
Yeah, it's not giving me an option to stop the show.
Okay, no worries.
Can you see
Right.
my face with this?
Oh yeah, I see you and your beautiful, I'm assuming, children behind you.
Oh, so it's not screen sharing anymore?
No, so I just see your video. I see our
Oh,
two
okay.
videos at the top, and then there is a screen at the bottom. Is
Okay,
that a
so
real background? That is
it is
impressive.
not real at all. This is it's fabric.
Oh my
This little
gosh.
plant, that's fake. The rest
So
is real, but this
that's
part,
not a window?
it is not a window. It's very
Look
cloudy.
how real that looks. That's amazing. Where are you located, Dee Dee?
I'm in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
We're in Tampa, Florida, actually.
Oh, I'm from Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so
Yeah,
you're Floridian at heart.
at heart. Yeah, we've been here for about 5.5 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
very cool. I mean,
Yeah.
probably very cold.
It's been great this week. It's been in the 50s all week, but it's going to snow tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
So I think
it
our
was,
extended fall is ending.
I'm sure. Yeah, we've got a cold snap. Um, so it's been in the 40s. I have my Ugg boots on today. I got excited that I can wear some, warmer clothes.
Very nice. The cold weather clothes. Yeah. We always would
Yes.
get excited about that. My mother has a house here, so we would come up and visit often. So we would always be excited to put our winter coats on.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Now we wear them a lot. It's
Yeah, I'm sure.
not that excited anymore.
I'm super excited to hear your session today.
Thank
And
you.
is there anything you need from me before we start?
I don't think so. I think I've got all the files are uploaded. I have a couple of polls. Um,
Okay, great.
so
And it looks like there's some people here already, so that's great.
Hi, Kataria. She wants the background fabric. Amazon is where I got the background
That
fabric.
is so funny. I'm at
And
our office.
it was like $25. It was super cheap.
I mean, it looks very
Hi,
like,
Jacqueline. Good to see you. Thank you for popping in. You guys, I did post a couple of polls. So it would be awesome if you would take part in those polls so I know who you are and all that good stuff. Thank you, Meredith. I like my background fabric too. Good morning, Brenda. You guys, there is a handout uploaded where you can take notes. So if you want to download and print that, that would be great. Otherwise, these are going to be recorded and you can revisit them later and fill out the notes then. But the notes are there for you. And there are 2 polls. So if you guys, good morning, Rhonda, if you guys would fill those polls out, I'll know who I'm talking to because I think that's important to know who I'm talking to. So launching those polls now and they should be ready for you.
awesome. I'm going to go ahead and mute and turn my camera off, Dee Dee.
Okay, perfect. Well, I want to make sure I honor your time. It's nice that we have a little small group. There's only 5 of us so far, because if you have questions or you want to interact in the chat, I think I have it set up that I can still see the chat and I can interact with you as we go. I should have about 5 or 6 minutes left at the end of the presentation I keep looking everywhere. Sorry, my gaze is all over the place. To answer any questions that you have. But I'm really excited to be here. My name is Dee Dee Vicino. I live in Fort Collins, Colorado. I'm originally from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That's where I taught. That's when I was an assistant principal in South Florida. So you can imagine the behavior issues that I had teaching in Title I inner city urban schools. And I'm really, really happy to have this opportunity to share with you what I learned on a very long teaching and administrating journey when it comes to those things. Now, I don't think it would surprise you to know that about 30% of new teachers fled the profession, fled like hair on fire, fleeing between 2012 and 2017. So why do you think that is? You guys can put your answers in the chat. Why do you think teachers are leaving the teaching profession in droves? Okay, I need you to participate or I'm going to feel all alone up here. Anybody? Anybody? I've got crickets happening right now. Okay, well, I'm just going to keep talking if y'all don't want to type. That's okay. It's mostly because of classroom behaviors. And, you know, now here we go. Burnout. Yeah, absolutely. It is a tough gig, Rhonda. So tough. Burnout, tough gig, a lot of pressure, Vanessa. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So, it's the hardest job in the world, isn't it? Burnout, paperwork, parent pressure. Oh, Lord, classroom management, parent misconceptions, student discipline, not feeling supported. You guys are nailing it. Immense pressure, absolutely. And parents, yeah, they want to be your friends. They don't want to be friends with their kids and not be parents to their kids. All of these are absolutely right answers. And the number one is classroom chaos, classroom management, lack of support from administration. We just aren't giving our teachers always what they need in order to be successful. Classroom behaviors, work has doubled over previous years, especially this year, right? In the time of COVID, especially if you're teaching in a hybrid environment and an online environment, it can be a lot. Yeah, I don't know how to, this is something, I don't know how to work these polls, y'all. I'm sure you took the poll. I don't know how to make it go. Oh, here we go. We have 60% administrators in the room and 40% teachers in the room. That's awesome. That's a nice little mix. I like that a lot. But I will tell you, truth. I was one of those teachers who fled. I fled my first year teaching. I didn't make it to the end of the year. I made it 4 months. And I made every single rookie mistake that you can make. I listened to people telling me how to be successful, and they were all wrong. Don't smile. Don't be nice to your kids. Be mean. It was horrible. It was an absolutely horrible experience. And I fled the classroom and I didn't return for 17 years. It took me 17 years before I got back to the classroom. So I learned a lot when I returned to the classroom, and I learned what to do as opposed to what not to do. And I want to share that with you because, you know, I've been listening to Dr. Redfield. He's the CDC director. I've been listening to Dr. Fauci. I'm excited to listen to Dr. Walensky. She's the Biden-elect for the head of the CDC to see what's going to happen with schools and with, you know, the new vaccine coming out, with new CDC guidelines being put into place, and listening to these professionals saying kids need to be in school. I suspect sometime in 2021, we will all be back in our schools if we are not already. It looks like 100% of you, it says 100% are on now. Okay, so most of you are in a hybrid environment. Wow, you must be exhausted. It is just exhausting. One of the nice things about being in a hybrid environment is that you don't have as many kids in your classroom. Do you guys find that you don't have as many kids in your classroom? So classroom behavior issues in the classroom aren't as extreme as they used to be. But listen, they're coming back. They're coming back. We're going to have room full of kids again, probably fall of 2021, if not sooner for some schools. So after being out of a full-size classroom for close to a year, have children having been outside of full-time classrooms for over a year, I think it's really important that we wrap our head around classroom management and that we are ready for it when they come back in droves, because they will come back to us in droves. Also, for those of you, the 18.75% that are teaching online, these strategies and techniques that I'm going to talk to you about also transfer to an online environment. So they're things that are important and that we can implement, whether we're online, whether we're full-time or in brick and mortar. I would love to know, yes, we are, right? How many of you are full-time back in school? It only allowed me to post 2 options to the question, or I just couldn't figure it out how to add more. But discipline has gone down. Our teachers, yeah, it's so hard. It's so, I have friends that are teachers all over the United States, and they're just really struggling in hybrid. It's been very difficult for them. If you are 100% brick and mortar and you've got full size classrooms, would you just put a little something in the chat so I know? I assume most of you are hybrid, but I don't want to assume too much before we go on. Listen, I'm going to go ahead and start this presentation now because I know y'all don't want to just look at my face for an hour. That would be something, wouldn't it? But like this, and there we are. Okay, I think you guys can see the presentation now. Me, all right, Katarina's full-time, 100% in person. That is something. I hope that you're doing well with that and everybody's staying safe and healthy. With these kids, whether we're full-time in person, whether we're online, whether we're in a hybrid environment, you know these kids. You know your kids. This is my online classroom, by the way, fully virtual now. Yeah. And listen, I am no longer a classroom teacher. I'm not even an assistant principal anymore. I have spent the spring and the summer working with teachers to prepare them to enter the hybrid or full online world, to help prepare them full-time. That's great, Rebecca. So this is my classroom. This is where I teach teachers. And I do have my whole little classroom. And this is, you see in the corner there, it's a graphy. Are any of you familiar with graphies? I'd rather have them face to face. I know, Brenda, I'm with you completely. A graphy, if you think of a YouTube informational video that got married to an Instagram story and had a baby, it would be a graphy. So I created this graphy to help teachers transition from brick and mortar to online or hybrid. And one of the chapters in there focuses strictly on classroom management. And you can get it at the Apple Store, you can get it Google Play. It's a free 30-day subscription, so you could get it for free. But I just wanted you to know that it was out there and that although I am not teaching students, I have been teaching teachers. Let me ask you this. Do you believe that students come to school prepared and ready to learn? BC, online, hybrid, do you believe they're coming to school prepared and ready to learn? Yeah, we do need our kids in school, Cindy. We really do. Listen, I think this is the biggest myth in education, that students come to school prepared and ready to learn. And you know how I know? Eduardo never was prepared and ready to learn. And he was one of my challenges. I think that we have 3 different kinds of students that we deal with. The first one is the always student, right? No, not all. Exactly right. I'm going to get your name right one of these days. But yeah, some do, Amber, some absolutely do. And our always students are definitely the ones who do. And you know these always students, right? They are always on time. They are always prepared. They always participate. They always raise their hand. If they're online, they always have their camera on. They were always there and eager and ready. Do you have a classroom full of these kids? I didn't. I had a few of them, but I did not have, yeah, exactly right, Brenda, exactly right, Heather. I didn't have a room full of these kids. I didn't. I had a room full of these kids. They sometimes came to school, most of the time. They were sometimes prepared, most of the time. They sometimes participated. They sometimes knew the right answer. They sometimes thought they knew the right answer. But this was who I had the majority of was. Will we receive this PowerPoint? Listen, Meredith, I tried to upload that darn thing. I don't know if the file's too big or what. I was not able to upload it. What I will do is I will save it, parts of it because it's just too big, but I will save it. I tried to save it as a PDF and I couldn't upload it that way either. So I will talk to the powers that be and see if I can get that to you. But thanks for asking. I really appreciate that. You can take screenshots though. You can take screenshots of everything. Then we have our third student, and the never student. And this student, I think, is the easiest to identify. The others, you got to get to know them a little bit. These never students, you know who they are right away, especially if you're brick and mortar, because they never, ever, 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 ever are absent. They are never not in school. They're the ones you wish maybe sometimes were not in school, but they're always there. And these are our challenging students. And if we're talking about online or hybrid, these are the students who maybe never have their cameras on. These are the students who maybe never come to class or never turn in their homework, because things are different in COVID and things are different in hybrid and things are different online. And we don't know what these kids have got going on. And the reason they're never absent in brick and mortar is because they know when they come to school, there's structure. They know what to expect. They know they're going to be greeted by a responsible adult. They know they're going to get breakfast. They know they're going to get lunch. And they don't always know these things at home. Home can be volatile. But school, they can count on. Even if they never behave the way we want them to behave, school is something they can count on. Now, if they are never online with you, if they are never turning in their homework, if they never have their camera on, I think we need to give these kids a little bit of grace, because first of all, they may not want you to see their home environment. They may not want you. Yeah, exactly. Structure and safety, Lisa. They may not want you to see what's going on. Their parents may be at work. They may not have childcare. They may have 3, 4, 5 siblings at home that they are supervising. So they're not online with you because they're supervising their siblings. We don't know what's happening. So we need to give these kids, I think, a little bit of grace. And again, these can be our most challenging students. Listen, as teachers, we wear a lot of hats. We are jack of all trades and master of none. We are tap dancing all day long. Did you know? This is interesting. I was surprised when I learned this, that you make, as teachers and administrators, you do it too. We make about 3,000 decisions a day. 3,000 decisions a day. I'm glad they're engaged in class, Cindy. I really am. That's more than a brain surgeon makes. Brain surgeons don't make that much. Now, I don't know, are you making as much money as a brain surgeon? Because I am not making as much money as a brain surgeon. But we're making more decisions than they make every day, because we are tap dancing for our kids, especially if you're in a hybrid environment. You're doing a double tap dance, right? You're all over the darn place. But we do a lot of talking and we do a lot of redirecting of behavior, student behavior. And we're saying the same things over and over and over again. And that need not be the case. We lose about 5 to 9 hours of instructional time dealing with these low-level behaviors that take up our time, and we just are always addressing them. I'm glad they're participating when you're live. That makes such a huge difference, I think. So in order for us to take control of our classroom, hybrid, online, brick and mortar, I really need you to embrace 5 core beliefs and a paradigm shift that goes along with those beliefs. Because if we can agree on these 5 core beliefs, then the strategies and techniques that I give to you will work every single time. And I'm going to go really fast, y'all, because this is a 6-hour training that I have condensed into 55 minutes. So there are going to be some pieces missing, but we're going to hit the big ones and the important ones. And you're going to have everything you need to put these into effect. Well, hopefully you'll still be in this conference tomorrow, but next week when you go back to your schools, whether it's online or whether it's brick and mortar. And then we'll talk about the strategies attached to those beliefs, and then we'll wrap up and have a few questions. So paradigm shift, bear with me. We're gonna have to change our way of thinking. How many of you are familiar with the old lady, young lady? I should have had the slide, but I don't, because I don't like to do too many slides. Or you look at a picture and some people see a young woman and then other people see like an old hag. And you really can't see the other because you have to radically change the way you're looking at things. So I need us to agree that we can look at these 5 core beliefs in a way that you might not have looked at them before. The first one is caring is key. Students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Does anybody know who said that? Who originated that statement? Okay, I'll give you a hint. The initials are MH. Yes, Heather. Who was it, Heather? Who? She's my always student. It was Madeline Hunter. Madeline Hunter said those words, the guru of education. We love Madeline Hunter so much, and she is so right. If our students think for a moment that we don't care about them, we've lost the war before we've gone to battle. We will never create that safety that we talked about, that level of trust, that foundation that is needed for our students to learn, right? You've heard it before. You got a Maslow before you bloom. We cannot crawl up that ladder or sprint. we're probably crawling up that Bloom's taxonomy ladder until we have created an environment, a safe environment in which those kids can learn. So caring is absolutely key. We have to recognize them not for what they give to us homework-wise, schoolwork-wise, academic-wise. We have to recognize that. There it is, Heather. That's the old lady, young lady. So you guys take a look at that and see which one you see, because if you will see the young, it's probably going to be hard for you to see the old. And if you see the old, it's going to be hard for you to see the young. And that's what we're doing here. I just need you to work with me. But we need to recognize these kids just because they're there, because they're them. They are unique little beings that are in our room, or unique, really big beings if you're a high school teacher. Can we agree that caring is key in our classrooms? Can we agree on that? I hope we can. Y'all aren't answering me. Are you like checking Instagram or something right now? Stop. Okay. Number 2, conflict is inevitable. Listen, it is inevitable, and it is necessary. It is necessary for kids to grow. They have to learn how to handle conflict. And let me tell you something. These kids, they're good at it, man. Their job is to push our buttons, right? Yes, yes. Their job is to push our buttons. And some of them, they get an A+ in that kind of thing. They absolutely do. But we need to make sure that self-control is exhibited in the classroom. Well, wouldn't it be great if all of our students had like a super high level of self-control in the classroom? Wouldn't that be something? But see, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about us. It is us. It is up to us to model self-control in the classroom with our students, no matter how much they push, no matter how much they're going to push. They're good at it. And I'm going to give you some unbelievable strategies that will help you deal with that student without disrupting your instruction in your classroom, because that's their job. I mean, think about it. You're at the board, you're writing, you're online, you're typing, and you say to the children, please take out your homework so that we can review. I think there's a delay when you submit chat and when you receive it. Oh, okay, Jacqueline, thank you. I should probably not address it each time because that might throw y'all off a little bit. And you ask them to take out their homework, and Billy does not take out his homework. He never takes out. So you stop what you're doing and you say, Billy, because you've said, take out your homework. Billy doesn't take out his homework. Billy, I need you to take out your homework. I didn't do my homework. No, you did your homework. You did it after we finished classwork yesterday. I need you to take it out. I don't have it with me. No, you do. You put it in your folder. I don't have my folder. I'm looking at your folder. It's in your backpack. Take out your homework. That's the wrong folder. Well, where's the right folder? Well, it's in my, oh my gosh. Homework. We are going to war with a kid over homework. And that is not what we need to do. We need to exhibit self-control. We need to be the calm that's in the room, and we need to take control of the situation. So I hope that we can all agree on that, and we can accept that conflict is inevitable. Combat is optional. We don't have to go to war with that kid. And I'm going to give you some neat tricks on how to avoid that and keep your calm and your cool and not lose it. Behavior can be changed. Can we all believe? Yeah, you got to choose your battles, Brenda. Can we all believe that behavior can be changed? Now, I believe it can be. We can change behavior, and if we change it positively, we can change academic performance as well. Now, I know you're having conversations with other teachers. I hope you're having conversations with other teachers, because we really need that interaction. Now, if your teacher's lounge is still open in your classroom, if it hasn't been closed to COVID, if it hasn't been turned into another classroom, if you're having Zoom meetings with other teachers, however you're interacting, I would caution you and suggest that we stay away from the if only conversations. And you know these conversations, right? If only mom could stay out of jail. If only dad could stop drinking. If only Uncle Albert stopped gambling his paycheck away. If only grandma didn't have to watch 13 kids. If only the foster care system were a little bit better. And we're blaming all of these other constructs, all of these other situations on our students' behavior. Listen, one of the wisest women in the world once told me and everybody else in my school, your students' success depends on those who stand before them. Your students will only succeed as long as you stand before them. You are the one that makes the difference. That's why those kids never miss a day, because they're counting on you. We can change student behavior. So I hope that y'all can buy into that, because if you can't, I'm telling you, these strategies aren't going to work for you. We have to create a class structure. We have to learn how to hook our students. We have to do this. And listen, do you think kids come to class knowing how to behave? Wouldn't it be great? I mean, kids come to school prepared and ready to learn. We really want to believe that. We also want to believe that they come to school ready to behave. And as a middle school teacher, I can tell you, they do not come to school knowing how to behave. I would think that in 6th grade, by the time a child gets to 6th grade, they would know how to walk down the hallway without flipping somebody's hat off their head. I would think by the time a child gets to high school, they would know how to go to the bathroom and come back without making 15 side trips so they could kiss their girlfriend under the bleachers. I would think that a 1st grader, after being in kindergarten for a year, would know how to sit on the carpet for 4 minutes without poking his neighbor. But they don't. How many middle school? Do I have middle school teachers in here? Do we have middle school teachers in here? Listen, middle school teachers, you know these kids don't come to class ready to behave. I was a middle school teacher, and I will tell you why. It's you elementary school teachers. It's all your fault. I'm just playing. I'm picking on you. But honestly, when we think about how we condition our elementary school students, we all have our little color cards, right? And they misbehave, you pull a card. You misbehave, you put your clip up the ribbon. The monkey crawls across the vine. Whatever you're doing to track behavior. It sounds like a great middle school admin. Perfect, Amber. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what is happening. As an administrator and middle school administrator, elementary school administrator, I spent a lot of time in elementary school classrooms. And what I would see is a teacher say, okay, all right, Samantha, I need you to take your seat now. And then Samantha would not take the seat. And then Samantha should say, no, really, Samantha, I need you to take your seat. I've already asked you once. I don't want to ask you again. Samantha's not sitting. Samantha, please get in your seat. Samantha doesn't sit. Samantha, if you don't get in your seat, you're going to have to pull a card. And it goes on and on until finally you say, okay, Samantha, pull your card. Now, if Samantha is an attention seeker, this is awesome for her. All eyes are on her. She go up, pull her little card, sit her little self down. If Samantha is not an attention seeker, she might start crying. Now you've got this crying child in your room, and what do? And we've given that child 5, 6, 7 opportunities. So we have conditioned them to misbehave before the consequence takes place. And I understand the psychology behind it. I really, really do. But middle school, high school, we don't have time for that. We have to honor the choice our student makes. And if they choose not to sit down, we have to honor that. We draw the line in the sand. We teach them what's right and what's wrong, and we deal with it right away. Immediately, we nip it in the bud. And again, I'm going to go over how we're going to do that in a minute. We're just trying to get through these 5 core beliefs first, because, you know, we're teachers. We got to chunk things. We got to chunk it out. Absolutely, right? But if we believe behavior can be changed, I think we can also agree that good behavior must be taught, because as we just discussed, we think they should know how to behave when they come to class, but they don't. So we have to teach good behavior. This is really important. We need to teach our classroom rules and our classroom procedures just as strategically and systematically as we teach our content. Think about it. I was a middle school English teacher. Let's say I'm doing a lesson on compound complex sentences, and they are not getting it. What do? Do I move on? I spent 10 minutes on it. You should know it. Let's go. No, I reteach and I reteach and I reteach till I know they've got it. That's what we do. What do we do with our classroom rules and procedures? We make pretty bulletins, right? Pretty posters. We stick them up on the wall at the beginning of the year. We talk to our students for about 10 minutes, and then we move on into content. We are content driven. We are going to teach these kids. This is going to be the best year ever. I don't know about your school, but in my school, those first 2 weeks of school were like honeymoon. It was fabulous. The PTO, the PTA, the SAC committee, whatever you've got going on in your school, they're bringing us food. They're bringing us presents. Administration is giving us little motivational gifts, and we are so excited. And we know this is the year. This is the year that we nail the test. Because, you know, you got that memo, right? That's your purpose in life as a teacher, is make sure all your children are passing or at least making progress on that standardized test. And we don't have a minute to lose. We are focusing on content. We can't deliver content if if we don't have control of our classrooms. And this is going to sound extreme. This may be the hardest one for you to buy into, honestly. We need to spend the first 2 to 6 weeks, depending on your school culture, on rules and procedures. Not just rules and procedures. Of course, we're going to teach content, but we really need to focus on these and set that structure. We set expectations when we teach, right? This is what I expect you to learn. These are the objectives. These are the expectations I have when you come into my classroom, and we're going to know it inside out, outside, upside down. I always tied content to my teaching of rules and procedures. So I was not losing my instructional time, but I was layering it within the construct of the rules and procedures. We taught rules and procedures solid for the first week, and then we peppered the second week in our school. And we did it school-wide, and it was a systematic, targeted approach. And those kids, they were exhausted by the end of the day, the first day, because all they did was rules and procedures. And we had the exact same 5 rules for every single classroom in middle school. Procedures were different depending on the classroom, but our class rules were all the same, and they got them. First period, second period, third period, bless them. But they knew them, and the school operated very smoothly as a result. So hopefully you guys can buy into that we really need to teach good behavior. Last, good discipline is well-timed. Timing is everything. Timing is everything. My husband and I divorced, so he's technically not my husband anymore. We divorced a long time ago. My children were 5 and 10 at the time. They're young adults now. And we had to co-parent together for many years as a result. And I knew that if I had to ask him for something, I knew if I had to deliver news that he might not want to hear, I knew that if I did it on Sunday night, it was not going to be pretty. I knew if I did it on Wednesday morning, it was going to be beautiful, because he had Bible study every Tuesday night. And he was all full of Jesus and the Spirit and was at one with the universe for the next 2 to 3 days. And if I caught him fresh, everything worked out just fine. So timing is everything in your personal life and in your classroom. Good discipline is well timed. So I need you to buy into that, because listen, I got into it with Billy about his homework, right? I got into it with him. And what did I do? I took away instruction from my students, because now they're all, right? They're not doing this. They're like, toom, toom. They are focused in on what's happening with Billy and me. They're focused in on what's happening with Samantha, not pulling her card. It's a lose-lose for everybody. It's a sucker dance. Nobody wins. So we just need to make sure that we are timing the way we deal with our students well, so that we are not distracting from instruction and we are honoring the other students that are in our room. So let's talk about these strategies, because that's why you're here, right? You are here 5 to 9 hours. You want to take back. You want to reclaim. Caring is key. Let's talk about that first. We've got to build those relationships with our kids. Hashtag relationships matter. Hashtag relationships matter. They really do. Because without them, without that foundation, again, got a Maslow before you bloom. So let's make sure we are doing that. We do that by building relationships. Unconditional positive regard. How many of you are familiar with this concept? It was developed by Carl Rogers. He's a therapist, PhD, in his private practice in the 1950s. This is an old concept. And what it means is you show complete and total support and acceptance of others, regardless of their actions or their words. And that doesn't mean we don't discipline. Listen, we got to discipline, right? That's important. But I need my student to know that I accept them for them. I see you for who you are, and who you are is worthy. It's unconditional. Conditional positive regard, you are worthy because of how you perform. Your performance. Did you do your homework? Did you turn in your field trip form? Did you participate? How'd you do in group work? Unconditional positive regard. You are worthy because you are you. You are worthy because you are you. That is it. It has nothing to do with anything else. So let's talk about that for a minute. Conditional interactions. I don't know if y'all can hear my dog barking. If y'all saw Principal Kalefe this morning, the Federal Express man came to his door in the middle of his talk and kept continually ringing the doorbell. My doorbell is not ringing, but somebody's out there because my dog is losing her mind. So I apologize. Please grant me grace if I seem a little distracted now, because she sounds like she wants to kill somebody. It's not good. Conditional interactions. This is kind of like the positive praise that we're taught when we're in school, right? We're taught to give our students specific praise. And that's a good thing. But these aren't the things that are going to build those awesome relationships with our kids. Great job finishing your homework. That's a wonderful thing. And it's specific to say to your student, great job citing your references. Perfect. Make sure that you double check your work before you turn it in. Did you turn in that field trip form? These are all conditional on things that are happening within the school, conditional upon how they're performing. Not bad things, absolutely things that need to happen in the classroom, but this isn't what builds those relationships. This is what builds those positive reactions, having those unconditional interactions. How's your day going today? You seemed a little off yesterday. You feeling better? Did you see the game last night? I know you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and Mahomes was on fire. Ah. How's your mom feeling? You told me that she was sick last week. Is she feeling better? You gave a great performance last night. You must be really, really proud of yourself. This focuses on the child outside of the classroom. So now you're building relationships that have nothing to do with their performance in your room and everything to do with who this child is as a person. And can you imagine how that makes them feel? Wait, she remembered that my mom was sick. She saw my performance. He watched the game last night and remembered that I love the Kansas City Chiefs. Doing pretty well this year. These are the ways that we build those relationships. When I was assistant principal, I was elementary assistant principal. I had K to 4. I had a middle school assistant principal. He took care of 5 to 8. When I was teaching, I taught middle school. So there were a lot of elementary school kids I didn't know. As an elementary school assistant principal, I was in charge of lunch duty during middle school lunch. And I didn't know a lot of those kids because they had been in middle school, in elementary school when I was teaching. So there was this crossover. I didn't know them. And I had 2 tables of boys. Sorry, they were rambunctious boys. One was 8th grade, one was 6th grade. The 6th grade boys, I would tell them to be quiet. They'd be quiet for like a couple seconds and then they were loud again. And it wasn't working. So I started talking to these boys and getting to know these boys. And these boys loved football. They were all about the Miami Dolphins, again, from South Florida. I am not a professional football person. I'm not a professional sports person. I am college football. Go Seminoles. Yes, I know they've been terrible the last few years, but they're going to come back with our new coach. I swear they are. So I started watching every Sunday and Monday night. I was watching football so that I would have something to talk to these boys about through the course of the week. And we talked about bad plays, we talked about good plays, we talked about coaching, we talked about penalties, we talked about stats, we talked about everything. And it got to the point where if those boys got noisy, all I had to do was look at them. You know, the power of the eye. You feel the power of the eye on you. Who's looking at me? I just would look at them and do this. And then I would smile, and they'd do this. And they would be quiet. That's all it took. Same with my 8th grade boys. It wasn't football with them. It was rap music. Yeah, there's some rap music that I enjoy. It's not my go-to. I'm an all damn woman. I'm not about it. But I started listening to rap music. I started understanding artists. I watched the MTV Music Awards, for God's sakes. I knew who Kanye West was before this whole pandemic, Kim Kardashian and all of that. And I had those conversations too, because they would rap during lunch. They were rapping. And it was very creative. They made up their own songs, but I needed them to take it down. And the same thing, I would just have to look at them and they would do this and go down and start rapping because I took the time to make those relationships with them. And it's just so important. Another thing that you can do, especially brick and mortar, but you can do this online too. There are all kinds of apps and you could do it on Google Docs or whatever. Listen, I can be a lazy teacher. Truth, full disclosure, lazy teacher. And I do not want to create 150 student folders for my students. I don't have time for that. So I made sure my students created their own folders. And I would use acrostic poetry as part of the lesson. So they would create their folders. They would make acrostic poems using the letters of their names, telling me something about themselves, and then they would decorate their folders. And it was great because the first day of school, we did this day 1. We did this, and then we went on to our rules and procedures. or no, day 3. I'm sorry. We did this day 3. Day 1 and 2 really, it was all rules and procedures, but you get the idea. And then I would have something tangible in my hand, and I knew about this student. For example, I know Anne is amazing. I know she's noisy. Gonna have to keep an eye on her. I know she's nice. Well, that's good. So it'll be easy to keep an eye on her. I know she likes music. I know she likes pretty things because she drew flowers. I know she likes cute things because she drew penguins. I can have a conversation with Anne based on this folder. Now, that number 15, that has nothing to do with classroom management, but again, lazy. I can be really lazy. I don't want to alphabetize ever. So all my students had a number according to how they were listed in the roster. So whenever I was grading papers, whenever I was collecting anything, I just had to put them in numerical order. If somebody new came in the year and their name also happened to begin with a UA, and she would be 15A or 15B, and on and on. So it was a great way to get to know my students. I did miss that. Number 2, conflict is inevitable, but combat is optional. We talked about that. And it is true. Let's go back to, my papers are falling. Sorry, guys. I do have some bullet points here because I'm an old damn woman. I can't remember everything. Go back to Billy, our homework example, right? You're teaching, they're learning. You're teaching, they're learning. You ask them to take out their homework. Billy doesn't take out his homework. Billy, take out your homework. This is where I have to exhibit self-control. He doesn't. So what do? I remain calm. I remember that this is a human being. This isn't an alien. This isn't somebody invading my planet, invading my classroom. This is a human. I know he doesn't look human right now, but I know deep in there, he is absolutely human. And I remain calm. And then I get really quiet. Because there's nothing scarier to a student than a quiet adult. Turn my body a little bit so I'm not confrontational. I go into deep thought. I don't stare them down. I just go into deep thought. And I'm just quiet. And Billy's thinking, am I in trouble? Is she going to call my mom? Is she going to call my grandma? Am I going to get sent to the principal's office? Am I going to get detention? Oh my God, what is happening right now? And the homework comes out. 70% of the time, the homework comes out. 70% of the time, whatever you're involved in with that kid, if you get quiet and non-confrontational, the homework will come out, or whatever needs to happen will happen. We'll talk about the other 30% in just a minute, because there's a way because we're going to have to deal with it. Now, you're also going to have to deal with the behavior. You're not going to deal with it right then. Because if you deal with the behavior right then, you're going to get, again, in that sucker dance, and all eyes will be on you. You're going to talk to him about it. You're going to talk to him about it on his time. And we'll get to that when we get to timing. But right now, you're still clicking. You're still going. You're still teaching. They're still learning. Do you have the pop-off kid? You know, the kid who just blurts out in class. You're in the middle of something and he blurts out and you want to get like sucked into the dialogue. I'm teaching, they're learning. I'm teaching, they're learning. I'm teaching, they're learning. Miss Bacino, Mr. Jones never taught it that way. Do I look like Mr. Jones to you? Maybe if Mr. Jones taught it this way, you would learn it and you would be popping off right now. Oh, that's bad. You don't want to do that. But we've got our little pop-offs. My dad said those who can't do teach. This is so stupid. I don't want to do this. We've got them. And if we give them attention, if we take that, what is it, the debate bait, if we get baited into this debate with our kids, we lose. And we're right away into another sucker dance. So I want to make sure that you are armed and loaded and ready to respond to these pop-offs. You acknowledge, you move on. You're teaching, they're learning, you're teaching, they're learning. I've got a whole bunch of diffusers. They're uploaded for you in a PDF. You can download it whenever you like. Miss Vecino, Miss Vecino. Mr. Jones didn't teach it that way. I understand. Well, let's get yelled at. Exactly, Cindy. This is Miss Vecino, Mr. Jones didn't teach that way. Probably so. Nevertheless, sorry. You just have these phrases at the ready. Miss Vecino, this is so stupid. Wait, it gets better. Miss Vecino, this is so dumb. But wait, there's more. I mean, just little things that you say, you stop it in its tracks. You've acknowledged, you've moved on. Do you need to address the behavior? Oh my gosh, absolutely you do. Do you need to do it right then? No, because you're teaching, they're learning. You're teaching, they're learning. And as soon as you stop and engage in that sucker dance, Learning stops. You slide right on down that Bloom's taxonomy ladder and you have to start all over again. So we do not address it then, but you stop it. And then students laugh. Now, I know you've got the goody-goody, right? You've got the goody-goody in the room with the hand. Miss Vecino, did you hear what Mercedes just said? Nevertheless, and you move on. You learn to address her too, because now she's interrupted instruction. You're going to talk to them both, but not right now. Right now, you're just going to diffuse the situation so you can teach. Okay, very, very quickly, because I'm right now only have 15 minutes left. And I want to make sure we leave some time for answers. But all the world's a stage, right? Shakespeare, all the world's a stage, and we are all actors on that stage. How we structure our classroom is very important for how we reach our students. And if we are in a traditional stacked classroom where we have rows upon rows upon rows, your first row, maybe your first, maybe second row, those are your actors. They're active participants. They are involved in your stage. They are involved in your play. They are involved in this theater. The people in the middle, those are your audience members. They're passively involved. They see what's going on. They're kind of with you. They're not actively participating because they're far from you. Proximity is important. Then you got the cheap seats in the back. They're completely disconnected. They need binoculars, right, to see even in the theater. You're up in the balcony, like what's happening down on that little stage. Yeah, we need to make sure that we are structuring our room in such a way that we involve all of our students in the instruction. So seat arrangements matter. Seat arrangements matter. I've uploaded 5 for you. I have about 16 or 17, but again, lazy teacher here. So I did upload because I had to make them. I had to create them in Canva, little things. So I did create about 5 of them for you so that you would have them. And they're the ones I think are used the most and are just, they just work in most classrooms. So if they're not going to work for you and you want to talk more about what might work for you, let me know. We can have a sidebar conversation about that, and I can try to get you some that will work for you. How's that? There it is. So we just want to minimize conflict. We want to make sure we have proximity with our students because proximity is so important. But we want to make sure all of our children feel like they have an opportunity to interact with us. All right. Behavior can be changed. And y'all, I didn't have time. That little basketball shouldn't have popped up just yet. So it's never, ever a presentation by Miss Vecino unless there is at least one mistake. I used to hand out DD dollars. DD Vecino hand out DD dollars to my students. And if they found a mistake in any of my presentations, and they always did, it was great because then I could correct it. I'd give them DD dollars. I don't have DD dollars to give to you, but that's a mistake right there. Good behavior must be taught. We talked about this. Spending that time in the beginning of the year is going to be critical to your classroom management success. And guess what? It's December. So if you haven't done it yet, that's okay. It is never too late. I wouldn't suggest you do it now because we're about to pop into winter break, right? And have some schools have 3 weeks off. Can you believe it? We're going to have some time off. So I would suggest you do this when students come back and you start fresh in a new semester. I think that would be a great time if you haven't done this already. If you have done this already, let's review it and go over it with them again. I used to revisit my rules and procedures with my kids every quarter, as a matter of fact, because it was really important. And the way I did this in my classroom, it was really effective. I did this using Teach-Tos, and I did it using Whole Brain Teaching by Chris Biffle. Now, a Teach-To, it's just what it sounds like. It's teaching to a behavior. Madeline Hunter, back to Madeline Hunter. Madeline Hunter used to take her pre-service teachers every year to visit John Wooten in California. He was the head basketball coach, UCLA, won more national championships than any other basketball coach in history, even more than Coach K from Duke University. And I'm a Duke, I got my master's degree at Duke, so I'm a huge Coach K fan, but I got to give it up to John Wooten because he was, well, you know, we're talking about college versus, well, it's still college. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm losing my mind here. But yeah, I love Coach K, but John Wooten, he was the man. 100% of his students and players graduated. They were successful in life. They were successful on the court. They were successful because he used the direct instruction model to teach to his players. That's how he coached. That's why Madeline Hunter took her students to see him. I do, we do, you do, right? I do, I'm modeling. We do, you're learning. You do, we're testing. We need to do the same thing. We talked about this. We need to systematically and strategically teach our rules and procedures just like we teach our content. And we do this through the direct instructional model. I model. What is the appropriate behavior? What am I looking at from you? In my classroom, One of my rules, I think it was rule number 2, raise your hand to ask a question or share a thought or idea. What does that look like? You raise your hand, your feet are on the floor, your eyes are on me, your mouth is closed, you're tracking me, tracking me, tracking me, tracking me. That is what it looks like. Hand in the air, mouth closed, eyes on me, feet on the floor, track me, track me, track me, track me. I will get to you. And then I say, show me what that looks like. What does it look like? Raise your hand. And they all raise their hand and we do it together. Then I say, now this is what it doesn't look like. It doesn't look like this. Miss Pacino, Miss Pacino. No, it doesn't look like that. That is not what I want you to do. What I want you to do is raise your hand, eyes on me, feet on the floor, mouth closed, track me, track me, track me, track me. Let me see you do it. And then they do it again. Then I show them the gray area because, you know, kids live in the gray. They don't live in the black or the white. They live in the gray. No, that's not what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. And we practice what I want them to do. Now, why don't I have them practice what I don't want them to do? Why don't I have them practice the gray? Why do I only have them practice what I want them to do? Because practice makes permanent. And if I have them practicing the wrong behavior, that's what they're going to remember. That's what they're going to mimic. That's going to be their little muscle memory. I only have them practice what I want them to do. Then once we've got that down, we move into Chris Biffle's whole brain teaching, where you use the whole body, kinesthetic, all teaching, all learning is addressed here, right? Whether you're an auditory learner, you're a visual learner, whether you're kinesthetic learning, it's all addressed here. So the next thing we do is I pair them up, they stand up, raise your hand, ask a question, share a thought or idea. And they do it with me. They mimic, raise your hand, ask a question, share a thought or idea. So I've modeled, right? Now we do, raise your hand, ask a question, share a thought or idea. Now comes the other part, you do. So I say, teach. They say, okay. And one pair teaches the other pair using the same hand motions and words that we've just used. And then I say, switch. And they say, okay. And they switch. And the other one teaches the other one. If we don't have this rule down by now, I don't know what's going on. So that's how I taught good behavior in my class, using Teach-To's and Chris Biffle's whole brain teaching. If you're not familiar with Chris Biffle, Google him. He's everywhere. Amazing. Saved my life as a teacher. He really did. We talked about good discipline being well-timed. And what I mean is I'm going to address Mercedes, the pop-off student. I'm going to address the goody-goody. I'm going to address Billy. I'm going to address Samantha. I'm not going to do it on my time. I'm not going to interrupt my instruction to do it because I've got a class to teach. We've got a test to pass. We've got things to learn. We've got things to do. I'm going to talk to them on their time. What makes them excited at school? Is it lunch with their buddies? Is it their art class? Is it their music class? Is it basketball practice? That's when I'm going to talk to them about their behavior. I'm going to talk to them on their time, not my time. Now let's go back to some of these things. We've got a classroom disruption. We need to ask ourselves 3 questions before we address that behavior, because sometimes we don't need to address the behavior at all. It's just an annoyance. It's nothing terrible. Can I still teach with this behavior? One of my pet peeves is this. It's the tap, I don't know if y'all can see. It's the tap, tap, tapping, right? Tap, tap, tapping. Can I still teach with the tap, tap, tapping? Can my students still learn with the tap, tap, tapping? Can the tapper still learn with the tap, tap, tapping? And if the answer to all 3 of these questions is yes, you just move on. It's not something you need to even pay attention to. It's just gone. If the answer is no, and in the case of tapping, for me, the answer is always no, then I need to issue a prompt. I need to say to that student, quiet hands, please. Quiet hands, thank you. Or I need to say, stop tapping. None is right, none is wrong. I can make a request, I can make a statement. And then I'm going to wait. Again, now I'm not going to do this like I did the last time. No, I'm going to continue teaching. And I'm going to give it 5 to 7 seconds, 4 to 7 seconds, 5 to 7 seconds. Typically, the behavior will stop 70% of the time. The behavior stops. Okay, what if the behavior doesn't stop? I promised you we would get back to that, and here we are. If the behavior doesn't stop, now I've gone over rules and procedures in my class till we are blue in the face. My kids know the procedure. When I say room 113, please, that means they need to leave. And they need to fill out a think sheet, a refocus form, whatever it is you call it in your school. We call them think sheets in my school. And the think sheet has 4 questions. And the reason for this is deliberate. because there is a psychological process we have to go through as human beings in order to change our behavior. We have to go through we have to take ownership of the behavior. We have to understand that behavior. We have to create an action plan to fix that behavior, and then we have to commit to that. So the ownership question is, what were you doing? I was tapping. It's that simple. You don't need a novella. You don't need a Pulitzer Prize winner. You just need them to think about what they're doing so they can activate that psychological process that changes behavior. What did you understanding? What did you want? I don't know. They might not know, especially in middle school. They don't know why they do half the things they do, but they do them. Or maybe I wanted to annoy my neighbor, or I was fidgety and I just needed to tap. What will you do next time? I won't tap. I'll tap on my pant leg. I had one student he was a drummer. He drummed all through class. And I just had him drum on his leg. He's like, I'll drum on my leg. Great idea. Drum on your leg. Solved our problem. Very simple. Commitment. Are you ready to return to class? They go to the teacher in room 13. The teacher checks the form, not for correctness, not to see if it's right, just to see if it's completed. And then they are allowed to come back in the room. The student comes back in the room. They hand me the sheet. Do I address that behavior then? No, because it's still my time. I'm teaching. I don't have time for that. I'm going to teach. I'm going to talk to them on their time. They go back to their seat. The majority of the time, the student is on task. This is great because their academic performance increases. But the most important part of this is it increases their self-esteem. They thought about it. They understand it. They came up with a plan. They committed to it. They're not in trouble. I'm smiling at them. I'm appreciating them for who they are, and they're feeling good about themselves. So now we have gone from a potentially volatile situation to one that concludes with an increase of self-esteem and increased academic performance. And I don't think we can ask for much more than that. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So ladies and gentlemen, if we can agree that caring is key and create those unconditional relationships with our kids that are dependent on who they are and not how they perform, if we can agree that conflict is inevitable and we can exhibit self-control, we can deal with situations in our classroom calmly and understanding that silence is powerful. And if we've got our holsters full of diffusers that we can use to shut things down before they even start, if we know that we can change behavior and we work on changing that behavior through a process, and if we teach to those good behaviors and discipline on time that's important to them and not to us, I promise you, the way your classrooms operate, it will blow your mind. It will blow your mind. Again, my name is Dee Dee Vicino. I do train in schools. If you're interested in talking to me about that, I'm happy to talk to you. The main reason I'm here today, though, is to prepare us for our students returning to the classroom and to help you if you're struggling with an online environment, because you can use all of these things pretty much online as well. If you've got any questions for me, I don't have any questions in the Q&A right now. But if you have questions, you can pop them in the chat. You can put them in the Q&A. I hope you're all still here. Y'all have been quiet for a while. But if you have any questions, absolutely ask away. I'm happy and excited to be here with you and to answer any questions that you have. And nothing's popping up. Did I bore you guys to tears? I hope I didn't bore you too much. But thanks for coming in. Again, all of those handouts are, thank you so much, Jacqueline. I appreciate it. Oh, I'm glad you're still here. Thank you, Meredith. Thanks, Amber. Again, no questions. Oh, thanks, Megan. But those handouts are there for you. You've got all of the diffusers, you've got the seating charts, you've got the handout, and I will see what I can do about getting the part of the presentation to you. Thank you so, so much. Thanks, Diana. Thank you very much, Jacqueline. I appreciate it. Oh, Brenda, you're awesome. I appreciate it so much. Amber, I am really going to try to get that PowerPoint. I really am. As soon as I can figure out how to do it, I'll talk to Megan about that, and maybe she can help me. And if you revisit the presentation once it's posted, or if I get you, maybe you send me your email, your information. Here's my email. So if you want to just send me a little email and remind me, I can send it to you. And then I don't have to worry about this format. So Amber, there's my email address. Send me a little note and I'll get it to you. Okay. That'll work out really well. Thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate it very much. It was fun. I hope y'all enjoyed it. One of my favorite things is talking to teachers and talking to administrators, and that's what we do, right? We share what we know, and I learn every day. I learned so much from Principal Kalefe this morning. It was just inspirational. Thank you so much, Cindy. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Maybe next year we'll be live. Wouldn't that be great? Okay, Brenda, I'll write that down. Let me get a Post-it. You would think at my desk I would have things a little more accessible, right? Brenda Parada, I had a teacher, Paraza, very close, but not quite. So I'm sure you're not related. He was amazing, by the way. Brenda.Parada at clint.net. Okay. Gotcha, Brenda. Perfect. Well, I'm thinking if you didn't have any questions that you were either I did a really good job or you were checking your Instagram. So kidding, of course. Amber, I'm writing you down too. Amber Freeman. Oh, Megan, is there a way that I can, I'm just going to screenshot these, y'all, because I can't write as fast as you guys can type. So. Oh, Harry Wong is amazing. He really is. It's so funny. I had a second grade teacher. This is a true story. And it was the first day of school. It was her first year teaching. She had graduated and just done her own thing for a couple of years. And then she finally started teaching. And she was so excited. Thank you. And she comes into me at the end of the day. This is when I was assistant principal. She goes, "Miss Vecino, it was nothing like Harry Wong said it was going to be." She was so frazzled. It was a very sweet moment. She ended up being an amazing, amazing educator. We moved her the following year from second grade to kindergarten, and holy cow, she was a rock star in kindergarten. She struggled in second grade a little bit, but kindergarten was where she needed to live. Truly, it was a good thing. But yeah, Harry Wong is awesome. But first year teaching is hard. It's hard. I know. I left. All right, guys. Well, I think that's the end of our time together. I have everybody's email address. This is fabulous. I took a screenshot, so I will get a hold of you all and send you everything. Oh, Rebecca, I'm going to add you to that list. I'm going to take another screenshot. There we go. All right, Rebecca, I've got you too. Perfect. You guys are great. Thank you for participating and interacting and making this a really fun session. It's hard virtually, right? It's so much easier when I can actually talk to you and see you. All right, Meredith. Okay, I'm going to take another one. All right. I got it again. Got so many screenshots here, but I'll get the right one. I'll get everything to you guys. Oh, thanks, Jacqueline. I will look for that email. Perfect.
Hey, Dee Dee. So if your PowerPoint, we think that you can add it post-session and that they'll be able for your PowerPoint. And if not, and then you can send it to myself or David Lopez, and then we can upload it for you so that they can receive that too on the session.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Megan. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
And I'm so excited that you guys want it. It really makes me feel good.
Yeah, it was an awesome session, Dee Dee. Great job. You did great. I feel you on being virtual, and you can't feel your audience and get the pulse, but I mean, honestly, you did a great job with what you had, and it was amazing. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Megan. I appreciate that feedback. I really do.
No, it's. I mean, it's great. Very interactive, and I know everyone loved it. So thank you again.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Have a great conference, and maybe I'll see you at happy hour tonight. That will be fun, right? We can mingle a little bit.
Yes, come to happy hour.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Megan.